first position. It's white to play, and yet white is forced to play c7. They have to push the pawn, because if they try to move the king, let's say if they go king b7, then black can go rook c5, and they can sacrifice the rook for the pawn, and that will be a draw. So if you go c7 here, they just go rook takes c7, and that's simply a draw. So that's why we need to push the pawn to c7 here. And after we play c7, black has to stop the pawn from promoting to c8, but they can't really come behind the pawn, or they can't go to d8. Both these squares are controlled, which means they have to rely on the checks. So they go with rook d6 check. Now again, it's very important to go king b5, because if we go king b7 here, then they can just go rook d7, pin the pawn, and next move they sacrifice the rook for the pawn, and that's a draw. Instead of this, if we go king c5, that's also a mistake, because now black can go rook d1 with the idea of rook c1 check when you promote. If you don't promote and if you move the king, they can simply go rook c1, which stops the pawn, and if you promote, you'll just lose your queen, and then black wins in this case. So that's why the only move here is to go king b5. So you don't allow the black's rook to come anywhere in the c file. You don't allow them to pin the pawn by playing rook d7, and you don't allow them to create the skewer attack by going all the way back. So after king b5, black has to continue with the checks, so they go rook d5 check, king b4, rook d4 check, king b3, and when they go rook d3 check, now you finally go king c2. So now the point is, black can't go rook d8, they can't go anywhere on the c file, but they still have one trick left. They can try this move, rook to d4. Now the point of this move is, they have a stalemate trick in mind. If we promote the pawn to queens here, it would be a huge mistake, because now black can go rook c4 check, and now we are forced to take, because both the king and the queen are under attack, and when you take with the queen, it's a stalemate. And that is why we don't promote to a queen here, so we do the under promotion where we promote to a rook. And once you promote to a rook, you are threatening rook a8 checkmate. And they can't move the king away, the king is stuck in the corner. So the only way to prevent the checkmate is to play this move, rook to a4. But when they go rook to a4, we have this final winning move, king b3. And after king b3, we are creating two threats. We are attacking the rook as well as threatening rook c1 checkmate, and black can't really stop both.